When the woman saw the black mole suddenly appear behind the child's ear, she suddenly realized that her husband had secretly swapped the child. She didn't immediately explode in anger. Instead, she calmly sent her husband out to rest. After he left, she immediately took the child and quietly went to her sister's room to swap the children back. The sister woke up to the sound of the child's crying and immediately began scolding her. She had no idea that the child she had been abusing was actually her own biological son. The truth behind everything was that the woman was a reborn soul. In her past life, she had painstakingly raised her son and helped him inherit the position of general. But on the day her son became a general, she was humiliated by a group of beggars he brought with him. Before she died, she learned that during her childbirth, her sister had secretly swapped the two children. The son she had cherished all along was actually her husband and sister's illegitimate child. In the end, the illegitimate child inherited the general's position, while her biological son was abandoned. She died with a heart full of hatred, but fate gave her another chance. She was reborn 20 years ago. At the very moment she gave birth to her child, she immediately picked up the child, checked him over, and realized the child had already been swapped by her husband and sister. So she immediately swapped the children back, and swore to make her scumbag husband and scheming sister pay for their wrongdoings. 3 days later, the scheming sister saw the woman and her husband acting sweet together, and she became furious. Deciding to vent her anger on the child, she walked up to the woman and began criticizing the child in her arms. Thinking it was the woman's child, she praised how adorable the woman's child was. The woman stood up and declared that her child shared her surname and would inherit her title and wealth. The scumbag husband was enraged, thinking the child beside the woman was his. Although the scheming sister was somewhat displeased, she thought about the inheritance of the title and wealth and remained silent. To spite the woman, the sister decided to name her child Mark and demanded that he remain a slave forever. 18 years passed. Under the woman's careful nurturing, the boy grew into a fine young man. Today was the day of his coming-of-age ceremony. The woman reminded her son to perform well and not disgrace the general's family. When the sister learned the news, she happily rushed to the celebration, bringing a golden collar to put on the boy. But just as the boy didn't know how to refuse, Mark suddenly rushed forward and snatched the collar. The sister was furious. Without saying a word, she slapped him hard and insulted Mark, calling him a lowly person. How dare he fight for things with his master? To make Mark recognize his place, the sister publicly punished him. The woman pretended to have a stomachache and watched as the sister grew more and more smug, stupidly beating Mark harder. In a panic, Mark fled, but accidentally ran into the princess who was coming to issue a decree. The princess's maid saw this and was enraged. She immediately ordered Mark to be dragged away and executed. At that moment, the woman stepped forward to plead, begging the princess to spare Mark's life for the sake of the old ties with the general's family. She wasn't acting out of kindness. She had already planned this whole thing. In her past life, Mark had secretly spied on the princess while she was bathing, which almost caused a disaster. If the woman hadn't stopped him in time, the consequences would have been unimaginable. This time, the woman purposely made Mark repeat his previous actions, so she had someone dirty the princess's clothes and instructed them to